Hey guys, welcome back to another What We Ate Wednesday video. In today's video, I'm doing something a little different. I am sharing with you guys a dinner idea that is excellent for date night. So since everything is closed and we can go to a restaurant where we usually enjoy a nice meal, today we are cooking our own. Let's go ahead and get started. So we are big steak lovers, and that's what we're having tonight with some sauteed mushrooms, some corn on the side, and of course some mashed potatoes. So the first thing I did was season the steak with simply black pepper and some salt on both sides. So once I was done with the seasoning, I went ahead and I prepared my cast iron. I love cooking in the cast iron. I heated it up a little bit and I added some butter to it. You want it to heat up quite a bit because you do want to sear the steak. So that's what I'm doing here. It looks like it's a lot of butter, but I promise you it is delicious. I cooked it for about 7 to 8 minutes on each side. I ended up taking out my husband's steak a little earlier than mine because I like mine well done. How do you guys like to have your steak made? I just get so creeped out by people who eat it a little too bloody. I've seen people eat it like that and I think it's kind of disturbing, but to each his own. I like mine well done. I think it's done perfectly, and yeah, I don't think I will ever consider anything else. While the steaks were going, I started on the corn and we just boiled it for tonight.
We were such a constellation, right? No, you'd agree. Made a reputation for ourselves at age 18. We had the devil on our shoulders.
Here I am just scooping up some of that butter on top. It is full of flavor, so you don't want to miss that step. I was so excited to eat. I was just extra hungry. We had waited until the kids went to bed to have a late dinner. So now I was working on my potatoes. I peeled them off camera, but I wanted to show you guys how I cut them in bite sizes, small pieces, so they can cook a little quicker. So that's what I was doing here, and then I was gonna boil them in some salted water.
It's 2 a.m. and I can't fall asleep. I'm just not tired. I can hear the raindrops falling. It's cold outside and I kinda feel like calling.
So here I was working on the mushrooms. I went ahead and I cut them in somewhat small pieces, not too small because mushrooms do shrink a little bit, and also if you think you have too much, it's never too much because once you start cooking them you realize how much they shrink. So I was just working on that, chopping up some mushrooms and then some onions to go along with it, and of course some garlic. While everything was going, I went ahead and I started to set the table. I brought out our special plates that we barely use. I had sent my husband downstairs so I could set up the table nice and fancy and try to make it look like a restaurant as much as I could anyway. So I brought out the wine glasses because we were going to enjoy some sparkling juice or fake wine as well. And I wanted to make it a fine dining. Now I went ahead and I started to saute my mushrooms. There's something about mushrooms and butter. It just smells delicious. It is so good. So anyways, if you don't saute your mushrooms in butter, listen, you're missing out. So yeah, mushrooms were the last thing that I had to cook. Everything else was pretty much done. So that took only a few minutes. And I was looking forward to eating. At this point, the mushrooms were pretty much done, so I went ahead and I checked on my potatoes. They were ready, and I was ready to go ahead and mash them. So I melted some milk and butter together in the microwave, and that is what I'm adding into the potatoes right now. How do you guys like your mashed potatoes? Some people like it chunky, some people like it smooth all the way. I prefer smooth. My husband also prefers smooth, but I have seen some people who like a little chunk in there. I also added some salt and some pepper before I began to mash it. While I was mashing, I realized that I needed a little bit more milk and butter, so that's what I'm adding in here. And that made it so much smoother, and I just continue to mash it to the consistency that we both like. So the last thing I ended up adding is some sour cream, a couple scoops in there. And I just mixed it with a spatula, and this made it so much more smooth, and it was so creamy. It was so good. Once everything was in serving bowls, I brought it all out on the table. I put our steaks on a cutting board. I just think it looks so fancy. Everything was so delicious, you guys. I really am so happy that I got to do this date night dinner for my husband. He really enjoyed it. If you guys want to do a fancy date night, just pick a simple recipe. All that matters is that you are spending some time together and enjoying a nice conversation without the children, and that's what we did on this night, and we really enjoyed every moment of it. We ended up watching a movie after, and we just had a relaxing night. I also wanted to share with you guys the kind of sparkling juice that we ended up having. It was apple pear, and it was so good. I think of all the ones I've tasted, this one is probably one of my favorites. and bon appetit. It was such a wonderful dinner. Thank you guys for joining us and seeing what we did on date night. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.